I had anger issues growing up, and that stemmed from me being fat, being bullied. I was always angry all the time, and that martial arts changed. That doesn't exist anymore. You know, that frustration is not there. So you walk around, you're confident in what you say. Someone says something mean to you, you reply with a confident answer. You're not insecure. So most people that are insecure, they'll reply with anger because they're not confident in themselves, and that just leads to one thing, and then one thing leads to the other, and it just goes bad.
Thank you so much for accepting this invite. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
For those folks that don't know who you are, I think there's a couple of things that I ought to highlight about you. And I was thinking about it on my way here. How do I introduce you? How do I do you justice? When I think about you, the first things that come to mind, right, which is humility. Every time I see you, you always got a smile on your face.
Yeah, man.
And that's always really refreshing. And if I can describe you in one sentence, you're like the chillest, most calmest, dangerous fucking person I could know. Like I wouldn't want to get you pissed off, man.
Appreciate that, brother.
Yeah, like the way you fight, it is for me. From my personal experience, it is, and I mentioned that to you afterwards, it's intoxicating. Like your energy, like you really take on like stage presence, and I think in that conversation that we had, before, you mentioned like you were in performing arts,
right? And
you bring that into the table, and I can see it, like the theatrics. Yes. But not only that, it's like it's intoxicating.
That's the plan.
I feel part of it, even though I was, just watching you, but amazing energy, man.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I hope I did you justice. I'm pretty sure I fell short. Anyone that wants to get to know you better, I'm going to make sure to share your information, and they can judge, even though it's limited on social media, for themselves.
Yes. You're spot on, brother.
All right, bro. And tell us, how old are you, and where do you call home?
I'm 31 years old.
All right.
I know it's hard to believe. I'm 31, and I was raised in New York City, Washington Heights to be exact, uptown Manhattan.
All right, gotcha. Concrete jungle. And I'm pretty sure, like, growing up in New York City, like, that had to have an impact on who you are as a person, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, being that, I grew up in a neighborhood full of Dominican people. That's all I knew. There was a time period in my life where I didn't even want to leave the neighborhood. It was just, that was home, I didn't know anything else.
Right.
Up until high school started, I had no choice to expand and explore a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's when I started, like, hanging out downtown, seeing all kinds of people, being exposed to all kinds of cultures. It's New York City,
right?
So it's basically played a huge part on who I am. So that's why I'm always smiling. I'm always approaching everyone with respect, because regardless of your culture, your religion, and everything, I'm treating you the same way. So that makes me. That's what made me as a person.
Definitely. And one thing you're mentioning, and I forgot in my introduction, because honestly, like, introducing you, I get nervous, for real. But the thing is, like, the one thing I would say about you, right, and as you're talking about, how New York City has shaped you to be the person you are, in my opinion, I think you're a very dangerous person. And this is what I mean by that. I think that, from my experience working with highly successful people in the military, in the Marine Corps, in corporate finance, in consulting, one thing that I've seen for people that are successful that has been their demise is their ego.
Yes.
And for you, it is impressive to see that you are a MMA fighter of such high caliber, but yet you're so humble, and you are, like, so grounded. Like, honestly, like, I'm gonna be honest, if you wanted to, that could easily get to your head. You know what I mean? Because you're a great fighter, and so far you've won every fight that you had professionally, right? And it's just like that can get to someone's head really quickly, but that has not been the case for you. Like, every time I see you, man, it's like always really humble. Treat everybody like fairness with you, like, equally, and I think that says a lot about you, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, my upbringing played a huge role in that part. So me growing up, being bullied, seeing other people get bullied, and when I would see other people get bullied, I would basically visualize in my head, like, damn, I know what he's feeling. I know what he would want to do. I know what he wants people to say to him at that moment.
Yeah.
So now that I'm here and I wouldn't call it power, but I have these skills and like the ability to be a bully if I wanted to.
100%.
I don't do it because come on. I was the person on the opposing side. I was the one getting bullied, so I know what was going through their mind. So whenever I do see someone walk in the gym, you could tell he's fairly new to. He's being exposed to all this mixed martial arts stuff. I see the innocence in them, and I could see that they had a rough upbringing. So when I see that, it's like, man, I could relate to you. I was there once, you know.
Yeah.
So it's that ego thing, man. I feel like it stems from people that you gotta have a certain upbringing to be that type of person. You gotta be, I don't know, man. You have to be surrounded by shitty people, you know. To be an egoistic asshole. Even training. You're gonna see people that train and still, for some reason, they carry that along into their personality.
That's the reason why I bring it up, right? Because like, in my humble opinion, just like doing martial arts for a short period of time, nothing compared to you. But like, I have seen that ego in people when you grapple, as you mentioned. And you think like, okay, I personally am a huge advocate of how much martial arts can transform you. But it doesn't transform everyone to be better, in my opinion. Not everyone. It does have a transformational effect, but for some people, it can have the negative effect. It can magnify who already they are. I think for you, like, if anything, it had a change for the better. I don't want to get ahead of myself because we're going to get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
But if anything, I'm just excited, man. Honestly.
I'm with you, man.
So, tell us a little bit more about yourself, so that, folks that are watching, you can get to know you. So what is your day job right now?
I'm a concierge part-time, and I teach boxing and jiu-jitsu privates. So right now, the concierge is to keep me going, keep my bills paid and whatnot.
100%.
But there's nothing. I'm kind of building to be successful with the privates in the future right now. So I'm going through that phase where I'm kind of understanding myself and who I am as a teacher. I'm still a student. So learning how to be a student and a teacher at the same time, it's like it's two different roles, and it's kind of hard to do at the same time. So I'm literally right now going through that part of my life where how do I apply this and how do I do it where I actually succeed with this. So that's also another part of my life, and being that it's what I love and teaching it and I'm getting paid for it. There's nothing like that, So I'm striving to build something like that, build my future, make my future like that,
So you're living, for a lot of people, like, you're living the dream because you're doing what you're already passionate about, and you are looking to make a living out of what you do, out of what you love. Right? Exactly. And we're going to get to that part, but actually I'm curious now, like, what motivated you to go from student to teacher? Why did you decide to make that, step in your martial arts journey?
It's funny because when I started this journey of martial arts, I didn't see myself becoming a black belt one day and teaching and whatnot. It was all about my personal growth and like how could I make myself better, because it's just the place where I was in life was, it was just all on me. I gotta figure something out for myself. And I didn't think I was gonna end up liking it to a point that I want to teach it to other people, because once you get deep into that world, you start to see the effect it has on you. Like, it had a dramatic effect. Not only physically, I lost a shit ton of weight, but up here, man, my mind is stronger than ever. It's done. I can't even put into words. Like, they haven't invented a word for it, what it does to you. I wanna be able to, like, I want to be like a domino effect and just pass that on to other people so they could keep on doing that, because it's a good feeling. It's a 100%. Very, very good feeling. So why not,
For sure. So, okay, and I really want to drill down more, but I'm going to wait, I just want to get these questions out of the way, but trust me, I'm going to drill down on that, because I had a conversation with you before. For folks that don't know, it was like one of the first interviews I did with you where I recorded it. And there's things that after I saw it, I was like, oh, I want to touch back and expand more on that. And you're mentioning stuff. I'm going to hold it up, just answer a couple of the questions. But we're going to touch on that for sure. So tell us, and I know partially the answer to this question because I follow you on Instagram. And I mean, because I see your tattoos, like you have a Pokemon tattoo. But, like, what do you like to do for fun outside of martial arts and outside of, when you're not teaching private lessons?
I mean, honestly, may not look like it, but I'm a nerd. I'm a huge nerd. 80% of jiu-jitsu practitioners, martial artists,
me too.
We're nerds, man.
Yes, sir.
We love anime. I love Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I love all of that, man. That's who I am.
Yeah.
But I love sports as well, you know? So
yeah.
I love to dabble in with some basketball, baseball, football, you name it. You know, that's something, if I'm outside and I have friends that want to get together and play a sport, I'm in there, you know. I love to keep myself moving.
For sure.
That's just who I am, you know.
And you know, I want to talk about that. You mentioned you're a nerd, you know, and we're gonna expand more on that later on. But you know, actually, that's something that like stood out to me. I actually, when I started doing jiu-jitsu, I felt so out of place because I know I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, to be honest, unlike you, like I am not the most athletic, so I was like, I don't belong here, you know. And the other thing too is like for me, I like to take risks, but sometimes I take stupid risks. You know what I mean? And I learned that like, you know, jiu-jitsu is like the chess of martial arts.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like you got to be a critical thinker, forward thinker, all these things. And I love art. Like I'm huge into art. Like I paint, I draw. And anyway, the surprising thing was to see people that we share common interests.
Yes.
Like when you said, "Oh, I was in performing arts," like I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Me too," you know. And like, and I've had so many interactions with other people that they are also the same, and honestly that surprised me a lot.
Right.
To see a lot of people that are nerds, that are, you know, have all these other interests, and I was like, I would never think that somebody that does martial arts has those interests.
Yeah, man, we have a lot in common and we don't realize that. And it sucks that it takes something of this caliber to expose that, but man, we all have something in common.
Yeah.
Whether it's only like maybe 3 things that we all do in life, you know, and it's gonna be one of those 3 things that you're gonna have in common with that person.
100%.
And we don't realize that, you know. It takes a hobby to expose that. You know?
Definitely. So I know, like, you know, regarding like what do you do for a living, obviously you teach private, so that's highly correlated with you being an MMA fighter. But in terms of, I think what I want to do here, like in this channel, and talk about it as much as I can, and talking about being nerds, which is things that nobody would think are associated with martial arts.
Right.
Having that said, what do you think you take from working part-time as a concierge that influences martial arts, or vice versa? Do you ever see a connection in between those two?
As far as, since I'm a concierge, I'm always socializing with people. I'm talking to all kinds of people. They walk in the building, I talk to them.
Yeah.
Man, everything I do here in this roof translates into my social life.
Right.
Whether it's like the way I execute, the way I talk, the way I guide someone into doing this or that, or let them know where you have to go to get this done. It's all because of this place. Like it's taught me how to like have some sort of just some sort of like a form of something set for me, and I apply it to life, and it just translates. It's really weird to put into words, but once you start maybe having like 2 or 3 years into the martial arts journey, you start to see how it translates into life. It's really really cool. It gives you discipline. It makes you more patient, and it translates into your job. Like as opposed to being like that asshole at work that's frustrated and came into work with a lot of attitude. You know, it's just, you don't see that in yourself anymore. It's just you don't have the energy for it. It does beautiful things like that. You know?
So, you know, talking about that, you know, in terms of, you know, it makes you more service oriented. It allows you to communicate, right?
Yes.
And I think that also like and believe it or not, like there's a lot of socialization that happens in jiu-jitsu. You know, like conversations that happen before you're grappling, after you're grappling. How do you carry yourself? You know, like you said, whether you're an asshole or not. You know, I think that has a huge impact. But I appreciate you bringing that up.
Of course, man.
So what would you say are your biggest passions or hobbies outside of martial arts?
It was always theater, and it's still theater.
Okay.
So that's always gonna be something on the back of my mind. You know, I've always wanted to mix both worlds together, martial arts and theater. Okay. That'll be a dream come true.
I mean, I think you're on your way, man. From the 2 fights that I saw, I think you're doing a great job.
There's a chance that could happen. You know, there's a project that's been being worked on with a certain specific person who's working towards a film. And you just never know, man. Opportunities go open up. Theater, I love it. Mixed in with martial arts, man. You can't go wrong with that.
100%, man. I would say you definitely have that stage presence. You know, the first fight that I witnessed, like just coming in, it was like, who did I tell you? I told you reminded me of Conor McGregor.
Oh, yeah.
The way you come in,
yeah.
You know, and it's like you run, and it's like you take presence. You own the entire freaking stage.
Yeah.
Or the cage in your case. I was like, shit, man. Like that gave me goosebumps.
It's like a dog, you know. When you take a dog out to pee, they like to, take a little piss in certain corners.
Yeah.
I had to solidify.
You have to mark your territory.
Yeah, I have to mark my territory. Yeah. So it's whether it's not physical, it could be with the energy. And I didn't think it was gonna be that dramatic.
Yeah.
Because I was just being myself.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it had that effect on people.
It did. Was I like the only person that said that, or like did you hear other people say similar things?
They didn't really like let me know word for word like what they felt, but I could tell by their body language and the way they were congratulating me and how they felt. The energy was amazing. Like I've never seen energy come out of like friends and peers like that. Yeah, no, for sure. So you talking about mixing theater with MMA. How do you feel that theater complements you as an MMA fighter? Right. Okay, so man, there's a lot of people who there's fighters that go on stage and they have stage fright, and it just messes with the whole. Like you'll see people. I've trained with teammates who perform beautifully while training.
Yes.
And then they'll stand in front of a crowd and it's like, man, that's not who I saw while training. So that's always important. It gets to people, seeing seeing the spotlights is on you, all those eyeballs on you. People will break.
I learned something new. I would never think that, because the way you guys train out here, and you say here, I keep on saying here, but for folks that don't know, we are right now at Hensel Gracie Academy in Midtown. So that when we are ever talking about here, that's what we're referring to. But yeah, like I would never think that, because the way you guys train is like you guys are animals.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. This is our home. So we're
makes sense. You're comfortable here.
We're comfortable here. We're doing a bunch of being ourselves. We're doing shit that we probably wouldn't do inside the cage.
Right.
As opposed to being in the cage, you're only gonna do what you're good at. Your focus is different. It's a different presence.
Right.
People are looking at you. There's probably scouters and just people keeping an eye on you. Yeah. So you don't want to mess that up. You don't want to look nervous. You don't want to look like a little bit stuck and like a deer with a headlight. And that's super important. That marks a presence the whole rest of the night, the whole rest of your fighting career, and just you gotta solidify that. You gotta make sure you're that guy that could hang with those eyeballs all on you.
Right. So handling the pressure of attention.
Yeah, man. Because there's a lot of people who break. They break, man. Once they it's funny.
I learned that. That's something new. I didn't know that.
Yeah, even with jiu-jitsu tournaments, it'll happen to be. I've seen guys that are monsters in downstairs, and then they'll compete at a tournament. I'm like, yo, what happened, dude? Like it just gets to them,
Yeah.
So I am fortunate and blessed to have had that attribute. I thought I was gonna come out and just freak out a little.
Yeah.
But it was just like instincts at that point. It was just me being myself, even though I had years about doing theater. It was just like, hey man, this is what I'm meant to do. So
it's crazy because like I said, I follow you on Instagram, but like just to keep things fresh in my mind, like I was this morning like looking at your wall. And I could see that. Like I saw some of your first fights as a white belt that you posted on Instagram. So if you guys haven't seen, like, you should check it out. No fear. And I've done it as a white belt, and I was scared as shit. Like I was nervous.
Yeah.
And it did get to me.
Yeah.
But like for you, seeing you grapple, like I'm like, this guy is like, he's done it forever. Like as a white belt, and like I've never seen that, having that theater background, that people would think like me being in theater, martial arts, that make no sense. Like that has been your competitive edge.
Yeah. Some people, they'll make it a black belt and never compete. Because they're afraid of that.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So I don't want to be that guy. I want to make sure I solidify and I leave something behind where people could look up to. And I've had people hit me up. I don't want to blow my own horn, but I've had people hit me up, letting me know how I've motivated them and like. What I've done has changed their lives. Even if it's training jiu-jitsu or even losing weight. Yeah. I've had people hit me up, and that's what I love. I love that effect.
You have that positive effect on me.
I'm so happy.
Man. I honestly mean it.
Hell yeah, bro.
We were just mentioning it. I, honest to God, I was thinking about you when I was coming back. Because I'm going to be honest, I took a break for like 3-4 months. And like not coming here, like I felt ashamed.
Yeah.
I felt like there was like a time I walked around like in front with my kids. We were shopping here in the city. And I was like, I don't deserve to go back in there.
It does that to me.
You know, and I was like, fuck. Like I was like, what do I do? And I didn't know. I know that I was losing my mind. I was like, I need to go back. And I remember what you said last time. This is how much it stuck to me, like the force field.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's
yeah.
like there is this force field of resistance that is there, and you got to break through that wall.
Yeah.
And once you break through the wall, it gets easier. You know, like I can only say, like, this has been only my second day coming back, but I remember that I was like, the force field. I have to break that shit.
Yeah, man. It is just like I said. It is exactly how it is. Like it's a force field.
Yeah.
That it gets thicker as you let yourself like get deeper in that hole, you know. And it's like, man, you can't let that happen. You got to break through it. Whether it's like punch it once, it cracks, punch it twice. That's just you stepping out your comfort zone, you know. And it's gonna break at a point, you know. It's gonna break. This place, I like to look at it like this. Like there's always shit going on in our lives. You know? We all have a different story. Like we're all happy in here. We're all smiling. But man, all of us have a different story to tell.
We all have our cross to carry.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of like, there's problems going on in everyone's lives, and what I like to look at this place is like as like a cushion to like. There's people that they dig themselves so deep in a hole and they're falling forever and they don't know how to get out. But this place right here is more like I'd say like a barricade that gets in the way and it prevents you from getting even deeper. So you're like, oh, thank you, and I could see the light. I'm able to get out, you know. So that's what I love about this place. It does that to a lot of people.
You say that to me, and I'm getting goosebumps because that is exactly how I feel about this place.
That's what it is, man. And it's like not only this place; it's just having a hobby overall, like doing something you love. A lot of people live their whole life, and they don't realize what they love to do, and they don't even like try anything. Yeah, and you're not. How are you gonna know what you like until you try? You gotta try something. Whether if it's a fail, it's a fail. But you tried. You're looking to find something that you love, and that's what it'll do once you find something you love. If you're going through something in life, a divorce, dad died, parents passed away, whatever, that thing that you love to do will be that barricade that prevents you from getting deep in that hole and gives you a chance to get out. I like to look at it like that.
I could testify to what you're saying. 100%, man.
Yeah, man.
But that's you know, the conversation here is not about me; it's about you. But personally, I would say what you're saying is spot on.
Yeah,
you know. But talking about now, I want to go back to what you mentioned before. You know, you're talking about like certain people, like not being the best kind of people around when they're training and whatnot. And from my personal experience, like seeing you being such a humble, you know, person, such a kind, social person, but like a fucking animal training, right? Like. Now, having that said, like, what are the values or principles from your personal life that have influenced you in your martial arts journey?
I gotta thank my parents. You know, they played a role on disciplining me. You know, teaching me what to say, how to be around certain types of people, and just being a nice kid overall, regardless of how I was treated. You know, my mother's a sweetheart. My dad is more of the tough one, but. You know, they try their best. They made sure I don't walk into any other place and like not have discipline or common sense or an asshole. You know, so it's all on them, man. If it's they gave me enough discipline to walk in here and take that discipline I have and turn it into something even bigger. You know, and now I'm just who I am now because of them. You know. Yeah,
man. And I don't say it here to stroke your ego, like, but I really mean it. Like, I think people like you that have hunger, that are humble. And are down to earth are some of the most dangerous people, because I say this from personal experience, being the opposite. Like there were so many things that I didn't see that hurt me so bad.
Okay.
Right? And you don't have that problem, at least from my perspective.
Yeah.
Because you're so aware of what's going on, because your head is on the ground, like you're at ground level, and that makes you really dangerous, man.
I appreciate that.
You know,
you can see that, man.
Yeah. No, I really mean it, man. So now we're going to go, having that said, now we're going to go into martial arts and the impact that it has made on your life. You know, you mentioned a lot of it now, but now I'm going to have the opportunity to dig a little bit deeper. But for folks that don't know, we already mentioned you do MMA, you do jiu-jitsu, but what other martial arts do you practice right now? And how long you been doing it for?
So it all started out with jiu-jitsu. It was my main thing. I never, I didn't really have an interest in MMA. I liked the sport. I loved watching it.
Yeah.
But jiu-jitsu is what got me into this world of MMA. You know, it's my first art. I started out because I wanted to lose weight. I was a big boy all my life, and man, I ended up on this path of a fighter. You know, and here I find myself in this interview with you, talking about everything I've gone through, and it's amazing, man. And yeah, brother, it's just the first art was what led to Muay Thai. Muay Thai led to another thing, and another thing led to boxing, and then here I am. You know, I did Muay Thai for like a year and a half. I loved it. I learned how to kick. I did my thing, and then I found boxing through Black Rob. He exposed me to that other art. I would call it art as well.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Here I am, man. I did jiu-jitsu for like maybe 7 years. I'm a brown belt now. I've been boxing for like a year and some change, a year and a half, and yeah, man, I love it. I love it. This is what I do now.
Yeah, and I smile because for folks that don't know, Black Rob is a killer. He is a beast. He's also a fellow Marine, and man, he creates monsters. Like, all of you guys are killers.
That's right.
You know, but I think that, I don't know, like when I think about everybody that he's been teaching, and I think about you, like I feel like you have probably, in my opinion, the highest resemblance to him.
Yeah.
A person that is a killer but is kind.
Yeah.
You know, and I think those are very few in between, man. In my experience that I've seen personally.
Yeah.
You know?
That's his goal right there. He's trying to pass on everything he's learned, all his failures and whatnot that he's gone through all those years with jiu-jitsu, grappling, boxing. He's just trying to pass that knowledge on to me.
But I think he's also passing those values, right? And how to be a person.
It comes along with
I could see that.
Yes.
Because like Black Rob is a legend, bro. And he is kind, he is humble. Like, I can almost use the same words that I describe him to describe you. That's why I say, when I think about all the folks that he's teaching, like, you are the one that I feel like resembles him the most.
Right.
I'm not saying that is your goal, but that is the effect that I have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Of course. Yeah,
and so now, you know, you mentioned something about like you martial arts having this impact on you, and it helped you lose a lot of weight. But and you mentioned that was one of your goals, but what other goals led you to start this martial arts journey?
So number one, wanted to lose weight, and I had no confidence growing up, man. I was insecure, fat boy. I had my share for friends.
I relate.
Who were nice to me, So, but it just wasn't enough, man. Being that I grew up in a neighborhood full of like a bunch of fucking hoodlums and all this peer pressure on you. If you're not wearing this, you're that. If you don't wear this, you're most likely gonna get beat up. That right there is what led to where I am now, you know. So
So, you know, and this is a question that I think about. Not a lot of people think about asking when talking to another martial artist, but I feel like it's so important that for people that don't do martial arts yet to probably hear this. But what were some of the hesitations you had, right, or some of the questions or concerns you had before going into martial arts, before going into, as you mentioned, what the first martial art that you started with, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Man, I was scared at first because I in my mind I'm like, man, I have to be good right off the bat. Like, I have to be in shape right off the bat.
But why? And I hear this often. Why did you feel that you had to be good, whatever that means, and you had to be in shape?
It's just, I guess, my upbringing, man. There's a lot of pressure on me. My friends around me, the people around me. If you wasn't good at something right off the bat, they're cracking jokes on you. Everyone's making fun of you. If you grew up in the hood and you don't know how to play basketball or be good at a sport or something, they're gonna mess with you all day. So that having that mindset of coming into a place like this, I grew up in the ghetto. I got this. It was kind of like, oh yeah, no, that's not gonna work. You know.
Yeah.
It's a whole different mindset when you walk in here. You know.
Yeah. And I'm curious. This is not here, but like just asking you, like hearing you talk, like I'm curious about it. Like, did those concerns, like having to be good, having to be in shape, to be, you know, good at doing jiu-jitsu, did those things stop you from doing martial arts? I mean, obviously they didn't, because you did, like, you did your journey, you started it, but like, did it had an idling effect? And for how long did it stop you for, before you were like, F it, Like, I'm gonna do it.
Remember the barrier that I was mentioning? All of those were barriers.
The walls.
Those were all different walls
Yeah.
that I had to like.
That's why I asked, because I figured that probably was there for you.
Yeah, man. At first it was rough. Like, it's just, there were times, you know, that I didn't feel confident enough with what I was doing. I feel like I wasn't learning, and then I'll stop for a bit and not come back. But then I'm like, you know what? Let me do it again. And that's the wall right there, you know. And what kept me pushing is how bad I wanted it. At the end of the day, it's about how bad you want it, bro. Like, it's like, if you don't want it bad enough, you're not doing enough. If you really want it, you're really gonna do it. Like, for example, like you said, you passed by the school with your kid, and you felt terrible about it. There's people that started here and they'll pass by and be like, oh, hey, I'm so Gracie, let me continue upon my day. You feel hurt about it because you see what it has to offer. You see the effect.
I hate to say it, man, I had withdrawals. Like, I felt like a piece of me was missing.
Yeah, man. So that just goes to show the love you have for this. You actually want to do it, and that's what kept me coming back. I'll stop going.
I didn't know that about you. I didn't know that. I mean, something you can't really tell about on Instagram, and that says a lot, right? Like, because sometimes we make assessments about people just from looking at their Instagram, but I didn't know this backstory.
Yeah,
like, just by looking at your Instagram, I was impressed. I was like, this guy was a fucking animal from the beginning to now.
Yeah, man.
But I didn't know that you left and you came back.
Yeah, man. I kept having gaps in between. I started out, you know, because this wasn't my first academy. I trained at like 3 other places.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out for me. It just, you know, up until I ran into this place, and everything just felt right, man. I felt like I wanted to go trainer as opposed to like waking up and I'm like, damn, forcing myself to come, you know. So yeah, man, I'm glad I'm here. I had to go through a couple academies to get here, but that's what it is. That's what it does, man.
So for you, is like you from what I'm hearing, is like you obviously wanted the physical change to lose weight, but the biggest things that made you want to join were internal reasons, right? Yes. So you're talking about one of the first things that you said right now, and several times I've asked you this, is like your self-esteem. You had a low self-esteem and you felt like martial arts can give you that. You know, you mentioned already before, like your parents gave you this level of discipline, but you felt like you wanted to further expand on discipline, and that is why you came here. So is it fair to say that, you know, the biggest reasons why, and correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I'm hearing, it's like the biggest reasons why you kept coming back was for those internal reasons?
Yes,
right?
I'd say like 70% of it. Yeah.
Okay,
And then the rest was physical.
Got it. And before you joined, you know, and you mentioned already that there were several martial arts schools that you had to find your way, and people don't know this, but this is my second martial arts school, and in jiu-jitsu as well. Finding a school where you're comfortable, it's like finding a partner. Like, literally, it has to be a fit. Like, it has to. The fit goes both ways. Like, you fitting into that tribe and that tribe fitting in with you.
Yeah, man, it's a journey. It's a journey in itself.
So tell us about that. Like, you know, you don't have to get in depth if you don't want to, but what were some of the reasons that caused you to move, you know, from one martial arts school to another? And having that said, what was it that said, okay, Renzo Gracie is going to be my home? What was that deciding factor?
So, you know, at first it was a combination of like not being able to afford it as well, and just life issues. And you know, I wasn't as mentally strong in the beginning because I was fairly new to this. I didn't know how to like cope with life that much. I was like I think I was like 22, 23 around the time. Life would get to me real easy, man. And it just, I let it get to me. I still didn't understand jiu-jitsu. I was still in the process of understanding how it's going to affect you up here. I didn't really grasp that part yet. I understood that it will get you in shape, and that every time I spar, I'm sweating and it feels good. You know, but man, it took some time, man. After I started feeling good at jiu-jitsu, a little bit good maybe, I wouldn't even say good, almost a blue belt, then I'm like, okay, I get it now. I feel like I could fit in, just because the first school I was in, I felt like I couldn't fit in. I didn't really have friends. I was fairly new. Most people, like you said, you'll have a large group of egoistic people. Like they'll stick to their own kinds of people. I don't want to be around those people. I wanted to be around good people, you know. And if I had to go through a couple of schools to find that the kind of clique that I like to hang out with, then so be it, man. And here I am. I came over here, And it's a huge school.
Yeah.
You're gonna see all kinds of people. You're gonna see people you might not get along with. You're gonna see people that you're gonna get along with. So here I am. I saw Black Rob, first person you see walking down the stairs, and
pretty imposing person.
Yeah. So at first, I'm a little bit intimidated by this man waiting for me, and I gotta shake his hand.
Man, the first thing I shook his hand, I was like, God dang it, massive hands and such strong grip.
Yes, it's like two hands holding one. And at first, we didn't really know much of each other. I would see him, I'll go to his class, but then later on, I guess he saw more of my game. He liked what he saw, and here we are. He took me under his wing, and man, it's just the journey was a little long to get here. I'm 31 now, but I'm solidified here, and this is my home.
Yeah,
and man, I'm not going anywhere.
I believe that, man. I believe that. No, and you think about it, like the journey has been long, but also like the progress you've made in this journey is, in my opinion, astronomical.
Yeah.
Like seeing you, and when I hear you say like I've been doing jiu-jitsu for this long, like the things that you've already accomplished, like doing MMA and having matches already and winning, like it's a lot. And being able to, for me, I would say like just being able to be chosen by Black Rob and hang in there and go out there and make him proud is like, it's a lot, man.
Man, it's a huge accomplishment, man. Every day I try to pat myself in the back and remind myself how grateful I am for this, man. Because Renzo Gracie, the owner himself, I'm sure he knows it, but I don't think he realizes how much of an effect he's had on people. Like he's changed multiple lives, like,
hundreds of lives.
Like I can't even like the stories I hear from individuals in here, like people that I've never seen that are black belts that leave and come back, and like they know who Black Rob is because he's an OG. He's probably one of the ones that's been here the longest.
Yes.
It's insane. It's shocking, man. There's stories for days. Black Rob tells me everyone's story and what they go through, and it's like it kind of motivates me too. Like I know I'm already like the person that's trying to motivate others, but it's still kind of I'm still looking up to people, like to this day.
You are such a, in my opinion, such a blessed person to be shaped by someone that was shaped by Renzo Gracie in the Blue Basement. And now he's shaping you. It's it's amazing, man. It's amazing.
Honor. It's an honor. I can't even like put to words what I feel. I'm super grateful, and I just remind God every night. Because I pray every night, and I let him know that I'm incredibly happy for what's going on in my life. Because this is what I asked for, and I've been visualizing this since I started. And it's coming to fruition. So it's like
definitely, man. Now I want to go back a little bit to, we know you're in it for life now, and you're very passionate, and you care about like the personal impact that it has on you. But now I want to go back, and you mentioned these things about like being good in the beginning, right? And being in shape. How did you overcome those things to say no, like that cannot stop me? Like what was it that you did that got your foot inside a dojo?
It's the hunger for being great, being in shape, being mentally confident. Just I wanted that feeling. I'll see people on the Ultimate Fighter show, the UFC, which is they're all in the house and whatnot, and I'll feel their energy through the screen, like that confidence, that how they walk around, and I never stood in front of a martial artist up until I started training, so I wanted to know what that's like. I wanted to be that person. I've always walked around with my head down, and it's like constantly being slapped on the head, and it's like, man, I don't want to be like this for the rest of my. This shit carries on into your adult life, and I don't want to be like that,
Right.
I was really hungry for wanting to be that person that's confident, in shape, just feels really good about themselves, I was really hungry for that. So that it took that, the hunger for that. Some people don't. I guess some people are just not hungry enough, and they just don't care. They just we're all designed to be comfortable. We've reached a time in life where our body and mind is designed to like look for comfortability at all times, but we don't realize what we're capable of when we're put backed up against the wall and we're put in the most uncomfortable situation ever. Like, you accomplish crazy shit when you do that, you know?
Yeah.
And some people are afraid to get to be that uncomfortable, you know? They don't let themselves get there.
Yeah.
I swear, man, you let yourself get there, there's growth out of that, and you will unlock a new version of yourself.
I would tell you, man, I think I think even people like you that are brave enough and that the hunger was what propelled them to come in and chase their goals, which in your case was to do martial arts. But I think that even for people like you, and I can say that, like, I am hungry like that as well. Like, when I want something, there's nothing stopping me. But, like, we are all scared, you know? And I think the difference is, like, one thing I learned in the Marine Corps is, like, being brave is not about not being afraid of anything. It's about going after something in light of you being afraid. Like, that is what being brave means.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like it's so difficult because a lot of times the fear, the intimidation, in your case, like, the pressure of being perfect, that just stops anybody on their tracks.
Yeah, man.
You know, but, like, I'm glad to hear that, like, it was that hunger that didn't stop you. And to mention that, like, what you said, like, you'd be amazed what you can do when your back is against the wall, you know.
Yeah.
And hunger is the only thing that keeps you moving forward.
Yeah, man, we're naturally warriors.
100%. And I want to talk about that because two things. Now I want to get into, like, how martial arts transformed you, right? So you mentioned already, like, the physical change, which is that you lost a lot of weight. So just for the sake of context, when you're talking about a lot of weight, what is a lot of weight?
I was at a point where I was 235.
Okay.
And I was really at the lowest point in my life. I would have to say I was deep in that hole, and there was almost no coming out. That light was, like, probably this big, man.
Yeah.
And it was just it was a norm for me to just, you know, munch on. I would get high as shit and not do anything productive, beneficial. It was just get high and fall asleep with, like, 3 Snickers in my system and, like, 2 cans of Arizona. And, man, it was not taking me anywhere good. I was just, like, making it worse for myself. So I'm like, yeah, man, this has to come to an end. Like, I'm only making my health worse. And my parents, my mom, I think about my mom, like, if I pass away at a young age, and it's just terrible, man. It's just, let me change my life, because I was big all my life, and I don't know what it felt like to be skinny and be approached as a person that's smaller frame, not be bullied for it. Because, man, in middle school I'd be walking down the hallway because I was fat and I would get punched in the nuts for that, man.
I could relate, because I was like 5'3", 5'5", and I was 230, 240, size 44 in waist. Like, I was really big. I could relate.
Terrible.
And I'm a nerd already.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That combination was horrible.
Yeah.
So, you know, you could be the asshole that learned all of the shit that I learned and then come back and retaliate. But no, I'm not going to be that guy. Because I know what it feels like. It feels better to be a good person than to be an asshole. Yeah. Like, you know, like, it feels fucking great to be good. Why not be that person? You know, 100%. People that can't think like that are just destined to just be what they are. An asshole. You know, that's what you're listed as in this world, and that's what you're going to live your life as. Because if you don't see it any other way, man.
But I think it's like that, right? It's if you don't see it any other way, it's a decision. You have to, whether you're good, whatever we want to call good or bad, like, you make that decision to be that person.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yes. That's a personal thing. But yeah, so you're talking about, and for the sake of context again, so you were 235. Now, how much you weigh?
160.
Okay, so we are talking about 70 pounds?
Yeah, like 75 pounds.
Wow, man, that is a lot.
It took a while, and it took some work, but man, I really wanted it.
But I want to talk about what's, to me, I think even more important and more powerful, which is the changes that happen inside of you. Yeah. The emotional, the psychological changes, the social changes, right? Like, can you speak more to that? Because to me, I think that's more interesting, and I want other people that don't know this about martial arts to learn about that. Yeah, it changes your whole character, man. Everything you learn in jiu-jitsu will apply to your life. Like, in jiu-jitsu, everything is about steps. Like you were mentioning earlier, it's chess, piece after piece. You take that and you apply it to life. Like, whether it's explaining to someone how to get somewhere,
directions. You're able to break it down in a way where it's easier for them to understand what you're saying, and it calms you down as a person. You're a little bit more peaceful with the way you approach things. I had anger issues growing up, and that stemmed from me being fat, being bullied. I was always angry all the time, and that martial arts changed. That doesn't exist anymore. That frustration is not there. So you walk around, you're confident in what you say. Someone says something mean to you, you reply with a confident answer. You're not insecure. So most people that are insecure, they'll reply with anger because they're not confident in themselves, and that just leads to one thing, and then one thing leads to the other, and it just goes bad, man. And that's what it did to me. It made me peaceful. It made me calm. It just, that side of me, man. I wish I could get in a time machine and bring him here right now so we could have a conversation with both versions. That was a kid that was frustrated all his life from being bullied so much, and people walking all over him, whether it's a relationship or like just bullies, and it's so this will change that part of yourself. Like, it will make you more patient, more disciplined. You're not gonna be that type of person that just reacts aggravated at everything. You're just more at peace within yourself. It's almost like if you're meditating. It's amazing.
Listen, I would argue that martial arts is meditation at its best. Like, I speak from my personal experience. Like, you have to be physically, mentally, and emotionally engaged in the moment. And when you think about meditation, like breathing in and out and counting it, that the purpose of that is to be present in the moment. In martial arts, you have to be that, otherwise you're gonna get your ass handed to you.
Man.
And you're not gonna learn what the instructor is teaching you. But I didn't know what you were gonna say, but just from the person you are, I know it was gonna be positive. But like, again, to me, that was the biggest surprise about people in martial arts, is that in martial arts, just like anywhere in the world, there's all kinds of people. But I've seen so many people that are so chill, bro, like so laid back, and you're like I speak for myself. Like, when I see them, I'm like, these people are fucking killers on the mat. And when they get out, they're the kindest, most humble, most chill. And it's just like, I never thought that. And what you're saying is so true. Like, when I walk on the streets, like especially in New York City, you see somebody like fighting and this and that, you're like, that person's probably insecure, that person's probably got some issues. Like, I don't know what's going on, but like, I think that's what made me so passionate about making an impact on martial arts, because it's so beneficial, man. Man. Like, and I'm glad that it has made that impact.
Endless benefits. It's like, I could go on all day.
Like, from going from, like you said, like you were insecure, like you were a person that were, from what you're saying, it sounds like you were very reactive, right? And you were frustrated and you were angry all the time. And like, now it seems like all of that is like the opposite effect.
That's what it does to you.
Now, walk me through that. Like, how do you feel that, like, or what part of martial arts has created those specific changes in you?
So, think about it. You're trying to you're grappling or sparring someone, and you're mad at something that happened with your girlfriend outside of the academy, and the issue hasn't been solved. You come to train, you get your ass handed to you. Now you have no energy to overreact and like start something that you didn't want to start. So now the way you're going upon that argument is you're approaching it completely different now. You're in Zen mode. You're chill. You're thinking. You're not overthinking because you've already used up your brain in training. It does that to you. You don't even realize it.
It's funny you mentioned that, and I just caught myself like I'm taking a deep breath, because you just took me there. Like, what it is, like that feeling that you have after you spar, and it's like, it's just like, I just let it all out. And like you said, I don't have the energy to fight
anymore. And it's like, it's weird. It puts you, it's just a rush of, what is it when you finish working out? Not endorphins.
Endorphins. I think it is endorphins.
That right there.
Oh.
That's what you want to look for when you're in a bad mood.
Listen, if there's anything about this place, I come in here, you can smell the endorphins.
Yeah.
Like literally, I never knew there was such a thing. Like you can smell it because there's so much going on here.
Yeah, man, and that's what you're looking for when you feel like that, and that's all you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Training in here.
100%.
Yeah, all that feeling terrible about whatever is going on in your life, you're gonna put that on pause.
For sure.
You're gonna approach it differently.
So you mentioned like, you know, in terms of, and I was gonna ask about that. Like you mentioned like martial arts has helped you deal with stress, when like you gave an example of you like having an argument with your girlfriend, that not being resolved, you're getting your butt handed to you, and then now you don't have the energy. So when you go back to that argument, you have a different approach.
Yeah.
Are there any other types of situations in your life that that martial arts has helped you to deal with other types of stress, right?
Yeah.
And how so?
Yeah, so you know, like I said, relationships, whether it's your rent, you're late on rent, you're stressing that you gotta pay your phone bill, whatnot. Typically, your average person is gonna freak out. They're not gonna be able to think. They're just gonna start doing things wrong, and they're gonna let it get to them, and it's gonna affect their whole day, if not your whole week. With martial arts, you approach things a little different, you know, like
how so? Like give me an example of like
you have more patience. Like you take your time with trying to solve that issue, as opposed to like overreacting and like thinking. That's the worst time to think, when you're overreacting, because you're not gonna make the right choices.
You're emotional.
Yeah, you're emotional, and that was me all the time. I would overreact to life. I was a young adult. I was starting to get in, you know, starting to understand what being an adult is, being 22, and I didn't think it was gonna be that life was gonna be this hard, you know. And it's real, and it is what it is, and this has kept me sane. It keeps my mind focused and not overreacting to things, thinking things a little bit more thoroughly, like just breaking it down the way it should be, you know, so I could approach it in a small way, not mess up, not, you know, all of that, it translates into life just like that.
I can see now what you mean by martial arts being that buffer between like you being here and hitting rock bottom, right? Like how it keeps you afloat, like it keeps you from hitting that dark place and coming back up.
Yeah, man, that's exactly.
It makes sense now.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to.
You know, and now you mentioned like martial arts having an impact with, in this case, your girlfriend. Like, how else has martial arts impacted your personal life? If you know, whatever you feel comfortable sharing, your professional life, your social life as a whole. How do you feel like it has impacted you? How it has changed who you are, like who is Richard in those scenarios?
So, like I said, in life is gonna take you to these dark places, man, and it's a matter of like, how do you handle it, you know? And this year has been really rough on me, you know.
I think that's why I'm also talking about it, because I know a little bit about it, but like if you can speak to that, like I think that would be so beneficial for other people to hear about it.
Like, you know, I ain't the only one going through things. People go through shit in life, and sometimes it's all at once, sometimes it's, you know, it's all a matter of how you take it, how you react towards it, how what it does to you, and you as a person, how you do it. So, man, this year, I don't even know, my bad, bro. I just got a little emotional.
No.
You know, man, this year, you know, will break a lot of people. The shit I gone through, man, some people will fold. Some people will quit, especially if you don't have anything going on in your life, like a hobby, like I was mentioning earlier. If you don't have something to resort to, this dark time that I'm going through will break you, you know? And that's why I love this place, man. You know, I lost my brother this year. He got murdered.
Sorry.
I lost my apartment. I lost a lot of things. A relationship I was in for almost 4 years has ended. It's all happening all at once, you know? And it takes a lot of people go through this, but they don't come back, you know. And when you do come back, you're gonna come back as the greatest fucking version of yourself. And sometimes you have to accept these things and let it happen to you. If you don't, man, there's no room for growth. You're gonna stay where you're at, you know. And then like, it's because when a plant is growing, notice that the sun is always moving. There's going to be shade at a point. If you move the plant to the area that the sun is hitting, there's going to be some growth. There's going to be more growth because you're following. That's the same thing with this, brother. The same thing. And it's like, I'm just really, really grateful and really glad that I had this place to resort to during this dark time for me. You know, and it's so many things that's been going on this year that will break a lot of people, but I try not to look at it like that, because I've been here before and I saw what it does, and it's a great feeling when you're able to get out of that dark place, because it does magical things to you. You come out a whole different version of yourself. Like, I may be smiling all the time, but I'm hurting on the inside, man. It's a lot going on. But I know what comes along with this kind of shit.
Yeah,
it's always life is like this. If you don't even dig yourself in that hole yourself, you're never gonna learn how to get out of a hole, right?
And sometimes it's not always that you dig yourself. Like, life just happens, man.
That too. Life just happens, and
like I mean, I don't know to what extent, because I don't know, and that's not my business to know. But like, who knows what led to the ending of your relationship with this person, right? And you can't control that the person, and I don't have any context of how that happened or why that happened, but like, what is to say that person just said, I'm done?
Yeah,
you can't control that.
You can't control
so,
that.
You know, and I speak from personal experience, because my kid's mom said, hey, I want a divorce. I didn't want it. I couldn't change that, you know. But like, life happens, and it can be rough.
Yeah. And, you know, it's cliche to say this, but God gives the strongest battles to his toughest warriors, you know? And it's like...
It's not cliche, man. I think it's 100%
real.
True.
It's real. If you keep track of... This happens to everyone. Yeah. And it's because there's going to be growth out of it. Yeah. Every time. It's a test. He wants to see how much you've learned in that little time period of you... Because there's always time periods. I've noticed... I'm 31, but... Throughout these 31, I wouldn't say 31 years, but throughout these 15 years maybe of just noticing cycles of life, we're going to keep going through this, like a dark time and growth out of it. God is giving you this test to see how you pass this test.
Yeah.
If you're ready for the next test. And it's never ending.
Trust me, you're about to ascend. I'm telling you. And the reason why you're going through this...
Yeah, bro. Yeah, man.
I say it because I could see it in you. But I feel like God gives us these situations so that we can know that we have it inside. You know, like like you said before, like, you know, I am this, I am that, and it's like life gives you this test, like, okay, are you really about it? And once you go through it and you stick through, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you got what it takes. And maybe there is, you know, one or two things that God needs to polish you, but I get emotional because you talk about the cycles of life. You're such a mature person, you know. For 31 years old, you are light years ahead of me, bro. Like, I am 39. And it took me so long to figure that out. Like, we go through these cycles of life, that there are moments of darkness, and that if you stick to it, if you stayed in the fight, if you're willing to learn the lesson, you can grow out of that, and you will grow out of that.
Yes.
And like you said, like, you will come out as a different person, man. And to me, I think that the reason why I wanted to talk to you is because, like, I admire that, bro. Like, I know you're going through shit, and it's like, this guy has fight. Like, it doesn't matter. And it's like, you know, I think it's one thing to see somebody and how they behave when things are going well.
Yeah.
But this is my personal opinion. But when you really get to know somebody is when shit goes bad. When everything is going against them, it's like, how is this person going to react? You said that. You know, it's like how do you react when things are not going your way? Yeah. That is really what tells a lot about your character.
Absolutely.
And to me, it's like, nobody can tell me, because I've seen it with you, like, you are a person that shit gets bad, you get tougher, man.
Yeah.
And this is why I say to you, I know you're about to ascend, because these are the things that I haven't experienced at your level, but I know that if you stick to it, you are a better person on the other side.
Appreciate that.
You know, like, it's something that, like, I had to learn through my therapist. Is like, going through the healing process sucks.
Yeah.
But if you stick to it, you're going to come out on the other side so much better.
It never fails, bro. Every damn time.
You know?
Yeah, every damn time.
And I appreciate it, man, that you taking this time to talk to me. You shared, like, how martial arts has impacted you, because for me, it's like being here at Henzo's, knowing people that do martial arts, knowing you, like, I know the power that martial arts has on people.
Yeah.
But it's one thing for me to say it, and it's like a whole nother thing for other people to say it like you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yes. Now, talking about, and if you're comfortable sharing this, is fine. If not, it's okay. But, like, what are some of the biggest, we were just kind of briefly talking about some of the challenges you're having in martial arts, right? Like, in your martial arts journey, but are there any martial arts challenges that you are experiencing right now that you feel comfortable sharing about? And I guess my question following that is, like, how have you overcome them? Or if not overcome them yet, like, how are you dealing with them?
Yeah, like you said, we might have touched up on most things, but, you know, what comes along with martial arts is just losses, injuries, all of that comes along with this. You know, it's not like a journey where it's just like fun the whole time. Like, there's gonna be some trials and tribulations that come along with just doing this, whether it's inside of the academy or outside. You know, like recently I just healed from my elbow injury, and injury, man, will get to people. There's people that have started this journey, and just because they got injured, they don't come back. You know, and it, like we said and mentioned before, it's all up to you at the end of the day. Like, it's how strong your will is to get back up. Because, man, you know, I was depressed with this injury. I couldn't do anything. I had a small tear and a little floating bone in my elbow, and the best I could do is maybe come to the academy and watch. That was the most I could do. But
for someone that is so passionate, that had to be hard, man.
It was rough seeing, you know, I was happy for my training partners doing their thing, but I wanted to do it too. You know, but everything happens for a reason, man. And, you know, there's still, it was meant to go that way.
Yeah.
I try every time something happens to me, I try not to look at it like, oh, why? Like, why is this happening to me? And I try to look at it like, God, what are you teaching me this time? You know, like, there is something I have to learn this time. I try not to be like, why? That was my mindset, man, when I was like 23. The whole time. Oh, why is always everything going bad for me? Why? You remember Bruce Almighty? He was always like, why?
Yes.
Why? I felt like him. Like, yo, God, you're picking on me.
Yes.
I literally felt like that. Man, when you have that mindset, it takes you along this path that you don't want to be on.
Yeah.
Because you start attracting all the negative issues.
Yeah.
Oh, why? I'm going to keep throwing why. I'm going to keep you wondering why the whole time. Look at it a different way, man, and it changes. And, like, what are you teaching me this time? Like, my whole world could feel like it's falling apart. I feel like I'm in a dark place, but ironically, I'm able to see things clear in this dark place. And it's fucking weird how it works like that.
Again, for me, man, like, I am so impressed. Only 31 years old, and you have that. To me, you know what that is? That is emotional maturity.
Thank you.
And I've seen folks that are older than me. I'm 39. Older than both of us combined. And they still have that why reaction. I've seen people, unfortunately, that they pass away. They never became emotionally and mentally mature. And you have been able to do that, because I think that is the biggest difference, to your point, is the perspective.
Yeah.
Like, something is happening. It's happening no matter what. But it's like, from what I understand, it's like your approach is, the why is like looking at the cup half empty.
Yeah,
and what do I need to learn from here is, like, you changing that perspective to looking at the cup half full.
Yes.
Like, how can I use this to level up?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
You know,
You
that's good, man. That's good. And you're going through this. You know, I mean, you're training already again, but you know, how are you dealing with this healing process? How are you dealing with, you know, it not getting to you mentally, emotionally? If you can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so like I said, you know, I try to see, like I said, not why this is happening, but more like, what are the positives coming out of this? And I've realized you learn differently when you're watching, as opposed to just hands-on all the time. Throughout these last 3 months, I've just been observing, and man, I kid you not, I needed that. There was something that was missing with my training. Like, all right, I'm never just sitting there and watching and observing, but there's some things that you pick up on while just watching that you can't pick up on hands-on training, and
because you're in the thick of it.
Yeah, so some people is the opposite. Some people, they can't. They'll sit there and just doze off and not even realize what's going on.
Yeah.
But for some reason, throughout these last 3 months, it was a lesson. Like God said, I'm gonna get you injured. Don't get frustrated. You're not gonna be able to physically train, but you're gonna learn something new about sitting down and just observing.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I've gotten out of this. Man, I didn't.
It's the power of perspective, right?
Yeah, man. I started hitting. I hit pads. I think the day before yesterday with Black Rob, just to feel out my elbow. Yeah. And man, it was like I didn't even have to think about what I was doing because I was seeing it happen
Things you
so
picked
much.
up when you were just watching.
Yeah, and I was just doing it like without me thinking about it. I didn't even know that about myself. That I pick up on things when I look at them do something.
So your martial, your craft improved just by looking at it because there were things that you saw from the outside, like a high level view that you didn't because you were in the thick of it.
Yeah, man, and
that's crazy.
And for some reason, I don't know. Some people it doesn't work like that. Like some people it works better the opposite way. Like where they like I said, they have to physically get on top of you and do the moves for it to even process in their head.
Yeah.
But for some, I didn't know that about myself. So that's not the why. Well, kind of. That's why it happened. But I wasn't crying about it. I was like, this is why this is happening. Your arm broke because now you're gonna learn another side of yourself.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's wild, man. I'll never think that. I hope to God it doesn't come anytime soon. But if and when it does, that I get injured, like I'm gonna put that in my toolbox. To say, okay, still show up. You can't do the moves, but show up because there might be a thing or two that you can pick up sitting down, just watching.
And it also teaches you how much you love the sport. If you got hurt and you're sitting there not stressing it, like you don't care about it that much. You don't care for it. If you're stressing the fact that you can't train anymore, you love what you're doing. You found something you love, so be happy about it. Because jiu-jitsu, martial arts is not gonna go anywhere. It's always gonna be there. And it's not like whatever injury it is. Okay, it's a fucking torn something. It takes months, if not a year. It's still gonna be there. And you're still gonna have a love for it. Some people get hurt and they don't even care for it.
100%. I wouldn't. I mean, I hear you talk, and the first thing that comes to my mind is like you would have been a stellar Marine. And I'm not saying that only Marines. I think everybody in the military, is pretty relentless. But in the Marine Corps, they used to teach us like whenever we're going to accomplish a mission, especially like we were going to country. They would tell us, we pursue our mission, and if we find an obstacle, we either go through that bitch, we go under it, we go over it, we go around it, but nothing stops us. And we accomplish our mission at all costs. And like I see you, and I feel like that is how you think. Which is like, I am gonna become a great MMA fighter at all costs. I can't use my hands, I can't use my body, but I can use my mind. I can use my eyes. And I was gonna say like that speaks to how much you love the sport.
And that also, I gotta give credit to my brother that passed away. Rest in peace. He's maybe like 80% responsible for me making it this far. He, like I said, I wasn't confident at all.
I didn't know that.
Even throughout the journey, even when I'm like a purple belt, growing up as a purple belt, now brown belt, I still wasn't confident, like as confident as I should be. Him, on the other hand, he was always in my head telling me, man, listen how great I am. What I could do with this kind of shit. He was always getting in my head, just giving me the confidence. He motivated me like no tomorrow. And man, and it's just, I think it's mostly because of him that I made it. Of course I'm gonna give myself some credit, but he deserves a lot of credit as well. And he's forever gonna live in my heart for that, man.
That's beautiful, man.
I rest in peace to him, and I love him with all my heart. But I know the next time I get in that cage, it's not gonna be me alone. It's gonna be him. He was always there when I would walk out of the cage to congratulate me. He would be the first one every time, never failed. And man, sometimes we have to go through these kinds of things to be able to, you know.
I appreciate you sharing something so personal, because I think that when you're talking about, oh, I'm going through adversities, I'm going through hard times, like you speaking about is like that gives us more insight in terms of like how difficult it is, right? Like that you lost your brother. Okay, like people lose, you know, family, but this was the person that was the fire that helped you, kept going. And you know, for anybody that has that kind of impact on someone, to lose that person, that is big. You know what I mean? And I love that, you know, you take it, you know, you see that loss, but you take it as a gain. Like now he's here with you at all times. Now he's like spiritually part of your martial arts journey, man.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that you said, like, you know, next time that you go into a match, you know, he's gonna be there with you. Man, I gotta go.
Absolutely.
I gotta go see that fight, man.
Absolutely, brother.
Win or lose, bro. Like I'm gonna be cheering you on, man.
Thank you, brother.
I'm pretty sure you're gonna kick ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, listen, I really appreciate it. I appreciate you sharing all this. You know, getting so personal about your personal transformation. You know, in terms of martial arts, how it's helped you lose weight. You know, I think that's one of the most obvious things that you can see in people that do martial arts. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, like, how has it helped you mentally, emotionally, you know, to grow, to become mature, you know, in those sense. And like I shared now, like, to grow in a way that a lot of people have never grown. Like, they've died of old age and they never emotionally grow. Like, and that's something I'm teaching my kids. My daughter's only 11, but it's like, baby girl, just because you see somebody is an adult doesn't mean they're mature.
Yeah.
Maturity and age are not correlated.
Yeah.
Let me tell you that.
Yeah.
You know, and it goes the opposite direction too. Like, you're an example. You're very young, but you're very mature, man.
Thank you, brother.
You know, and I'm glad that, you know, your parents were instrumental in that. As a fellow, you know, Latin person, like, I can speak to that.
Yeah.
But that you were able to bring it here, right, and make it grow even more.
Yeah.
And I can, you know, if you want to have kids, when you have kids, that's going to be amazing that you're going to pass that on. You know, what your brother passed on to you, what your family passed on to you, what martial arts passed on to you, man. Yeah, they're going to do amazing stuff.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Absolutely.
Now, let's wrap this up. And, you know, now I want to make this part, and I labeled it advice. Like, what is the, you know, I have some questions around, you know, you giving advice to people that are on the fence of doing martial arts. I mentioned before in the beginning, like, they might think I'm not a fit, you know, like, it doesn't make sense given my background for me to be in martial arts. Or, like, you know, similar to you, you know, like, they're pretty overweight and they're like, well, I can't go in there because I have to be fit, you know, like, I have to kick ass, you know, coming in.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, there's a couple questions I have, you know, that now you being at this high caliber, that I want you to share with people that are in that part of their journey before starting martial arts, right? So, you know, having that said, like, for you, what advice you would give someone who is thinking about starting martial arts but isn't sure if it's right for them?
First things first, you gotta look into what got you to even think about it. Like, where was it that it's, you know, what gave you the thought of wanting to do it? You know, it comes from that. For me, what made me want to do it was just lack of confidence, seeing the confidence in their eyes. So it all depends on why. What is the why, the big why? Mm-hmm. What made you want to take that first step? Mm-hmm. And then everything starts from there. Whether it's weight loss, issues at home, building confidence. There's levels to, you know, so depending on the motivation will determine how you want to approach it. Like, a person that wants to lose weight, how bad do you want to lose weight? If you want to work on your confidence, approach it more of a therapeutic kind of thing, how serious are you about that? Do you really want to do that? You know, you got to sit down and really look at that. You got to see, like, what is the big why and what are the benefits. If you don't know any, like, the benefits that come out of this, you probably won't know in the beginning. Like I said, is there someone you look up to? Look into someone that's into it and hear their story. you know, and
Yep.
and see the difference. And that's how I got motivated. So seeing different people throughout the Ultimate Fighter show, they have stories, you know, how they get sentimental in the show, and it will break my heart. And I'm like, wow, you really pulled through that? I could do that shit too.
Yeah.
You just, most of these people just need evidence.
Yeah.
It's easy to, you know, it's easier said than done just to tell people, hey, just do this, you just gotta do that. But you have to see clear evidence of it. And if you want to look at my page and my growth, I promise you, it will motivate you to do big things. Cause
definitely,
I started down here and I'm going through the same cycle again that I did in the beginning. Lost my apartment, lost my job, lost all of that in one shot, in 1 week. Going through it again. But I saw what came out of that first loss when that first happened to me. So I'm hungry and looking forward to what's next. You know, so whatever you got going on in your life, sorry to disrupt you.
No. You're spot on, man.
It's, you know, just do it. Just push it, no matter what. No matter how hard it feels.
I'm sorry to get like all excited because I know, like you said, like going through those cycles, I know you're about to ascend because you're going through all this stuff.
Yeah.
That is like the big, which it makes no sense. You're like, you know, right before you about to level up, you hit the lowest of the lowest.
Yeah.
I don't know why that happens. You know, I'm not saying all the time, but most of the time, man.
And people don't.
I'm happy for you, bro.
People hear it. Thank you, man. People hear it all the time. Yeah, that's true. Oh, yeah, I hear it. But they're not convinced enough.
Yeah.
They have to experience it. And I'm sitting here right now on this chair, letting y'all know that this is real, and all our lives is written in a book, and we're all gonna go through dark times. I don't know how many times throughout our whole life, but we will go through it. And
that's a fact.
You know, the way you handle it will determine what your next level is, you know? And it's just how it is, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I know, trust me, I pray to God and I know it, that things are going to get better for you because you are a person that has that fight inside of you. You are a person already that has, the way you handle a situation is not like why, right? But rather, what do I need to learn from this?
Yeah.
Just having that right there is the biggest difference between people that win and people that don't. Because everything that is happening to you, you're taking it as, how do I use it to my advantage? How do I use it to grow? Yes. At least that's what I'm getting from it.
Yeah, man, that's exactly how, man, once you start looking at it like that, I promise you, your life is going to change.
Definitely.
I mean, something could be painful, death or whatnot. Yeah, feel the pain.
Yeah.
Accept it, absorb all of that.
Yeah.
But there's always something better coming out of that. You know,
100%.
Unless you deserve it and you're a terrible person, you're just out here doing malicious stuff.
Yeah.
Karma's real.
Yeah.
But if you know you're a good person and these things are happening to you, there has to be something good coming out of it. But something better than whatever bad it is.
I would say, man, even when you're bad and something bad happens to you, sometimes that is the best thing that can happen to you.
Yeah.
Because you get to change.
Yeah, that's an opportunity to change.
Man.
Some people miss it.
I'm telling you, I say it with all humility, that happened to me. I was like, you talk about asshole, I was an asshole. And I hate that I had to go through what I had. I had to be held accountable. But hindsight, I am grateful that happened. Because I needed to go through that. You're saying it, and I'm like, bro, it's like you figured out this part of life. Because it's true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now, moving on to, what do you think is something that people that don't know anything about martial arts often misunderstand about martial arts? You know, what are some of the myths that you've heard, that you've known, that you probably experienced that will be probably beneficial to debunk?
A lot of people look at it as like brutal, like Neanderthal caveman. Like they have like a weird, like, I guess, I don't know, they're just pretty small-minded when it comes to that part. So you just gotta understand, man, that this is very therapeutic. It's not all about violence. You know, they see these guys punching each other, kicking knees. Yeah, it's painful. It sucks. But it's very therapeutic. Like, the way you're not out there doing these things on random people. You're doing it with other people that train the art.
Yep.
So there's a form. It's almost like you're dancing. It's like a therapy, you know? Some people don't understand that up until you do it. So don't look at us as like we're fucking crazy lunatics that are just brutal. And we're good people.
Far
example, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not walking around, you know, just bullying people with whatever I learned here. I'm using it for good things in life. So that's what matters.
Yeah, for sure, man. So for you, like you mentioned in your personal life, like you were insecure, right? And that was one of the biggest reasons that you joined. How do you think martial arts can help someone that feels right now intimidated or they're unsure about joining a class?
Just get your feet wet. Just do it. You know, I know right now you're dealing with the devil here and the angel on your shoulder right here. And one of them is whispering another thing. Ignore the devil. He's giving you all the doubts.
all the ways out, right?
It's gonna overwhelm the good things, and filter that out. Take all that negative stuff and put it aside. Listen to what the positive things only, because once you stick to that, it happens. You know, it's not like, oh, you're doubting it or whatnot. Just do it, and it's gonna bring you along. It's two different paths: the devil's door or the angel. There's no other path. You're gonna have to either decide to do it or not. You know, it's like there's no in between. You're either gonna really want to do this or you're not gonna do it. You know. So if you're in between, man, like I said,
just go for it.
Just go for it. Have someone that you maybe look up to. It's, you know, it's different when you have someone that you look up to, and that was the reason behind your motivation. As opposed to like seeing an ad online. So it's very different. It all depends on your reasoning or how it was that you got exposed to this.
I think that's pretty powerful. You know, something that you say can a lot of times go underrated, right? But like you mentioned, if you know someone that has done martial arts, go ahead and talk to them. Like find out for yourself, like what was their personal experience. You know, that doesn't mean that it's going to be your experience, but at least you have a more realistic idea of what it is to do martial arts by talking to someone that does martial arts. Right? So I think that's really important to highlight. Now, looking back, you know, to that insecure, that overweight kid, you know, that you were when you first started doing martial arts, like, what is the one thing you wish you knew, that person knew? You said it in the beginning, like, I wish I was having a conversation with who I was, you know, before and now, you know, like we can talk. You know, and it's funny you say that because, like, I often feel the same. I'm like, that was so dumb, you know, or just like about myself. But anyway, like, having that said, like, what do you wish you knew before you started martial arts that would have made your martial arts journey a lot more smoother? Knowing what you know now.
You know what? I actually I don't regret anything the way it went. Everything the way it went was supposed to happen that way. So if we would have changed anything, that would have changed my course. You know, it would have changed my mindset on the way I think about things. I would have never challenged myself to like learn how to do this or learn how to force myself to do this. So I accept the way it happened. I don't want to change anything because we're here because of the way it went, you know, and the struggles, the adversity I had to deal with, and I needed that to happen for me to get over here. And it's crazy.
You know, you say it so lightly, but I don't think people realize how powerful that is. And let me tell you, at least for me, how does that resonate with me, right? Like, I've gone through things where, like I mentioned, I was an asshole before. I am not proud of it, but I was not the best person. And I paid the price. I was held accountable. I don't make excuses. I take full accountability for what I did, but a lot of it had to do with PTSD, you know, but like you taking accountability, right? And like turning it for good, you know, like that is powerful. You know what I mean? And like in your instance, like, you just going for it, like that says a lot, man. You know what I mean? Like it is. I can't tell you, like, you saying like I wouldn't change anything. Like a lot of times people have regrets. Everybody has regrets, man. But like for me, when I heard that, it was the first word that came to my mind is regrets. Like everybody has regrets, and you're like, oh, I wish I would have done this better. I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have. And you pause for a second, and I don't know whether you were contemplating of saying something like that, but you're like, no. Like, I actually am grateful that everything went the way it went, because I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for that. You You know, and I think that a lot of people that are watching, like, need to think about that. Like, you might not be proud of what you did before, but you got to be grateful to that, because if it wasn't for that, you wouldn't be the person you are now. You know, like, whether you want to realize it or not, that wasn't your brightest moment, but that's how you grew.
Yeah.
You know? So, all right, now we're going for the last question. So, and I think this is, you said so much already, you know, but if there's anything I missed, right?
Okay.
What's the most valuable lesson martial arts has taught you that others should know?
Life gets hard. Life gets hard, and having something you love is the best way to cope with it. If you don't have something you love and you're just living to live, to survive, and just to eat and pay rent, man, I wouldn't even know what that feels like, because I don't want to know what that feels like.
It fucking sucks.
It sucks I'm assuming it seems like it sucks, and it seems like it's stressful. But man, having this right here on the back of your shoulder, in case you need a talk, like, hey, I just broke up with my girlfriend, can you help? It's a wonderful feeling, brother. It's just, I can't even put into words. You know?
I go back to, that's why I said, like, you said so much already, but like, you talk about like going through this, I envision like a tunnel, like you making your way down to that dark hole, and like martial arts being that buffer that you said. It's like that buffer that doesn't allow you to get there, but rather like helps you bounce back up. Like, that's how I think about it when you said that, you know?
That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Man,
man,
that is powerful, man. You shared so many wisdom nuggets. You know, if for anyone that, you know, doesn't know who you are, I'm gonna make sure to share on the description for this video your handle for Instagram.
Yes, sir.
Any other information that you want to give me, I'll share it with them. And you know, as you said before, they should really take a look at, you know, your Instagram, your wall. So much inspiration. Like, you've been so candid about sharing your transformational journey. Like, that video I saw of you when you were bigger, like, you talked about it, and I saw it, I was like, wow. Like, it's a major change. You know, but not only that, like, you being able to share, like, you share a lot of stuff. Like, honestly, like I told you this yesterday, I look forward to your stories because you always make me laugh. But like, you've been so candid, like sharing the good, the bad, the ugly, the in between. You know, and I feel like that is what I want to showcase about martial arts. Martial arts is not one line going up. I mean, nothing in life is. You know, but like, despite and in spite of all of that, like, you continue to use that, you know, to be better. Like, for me, that's the biggest takeaway. That before martial arts for you, you know, you asked the why. And now it's like, what can I use from this situation to grow? That's a huge shift. You know, and some people never get there. You know, so
that's once I started looking at my life like that, that's when my life changed completely. Huge shift. Huge shift.
Thanks again, man. I really appreciate it, brother.
Hell yeah,
Thank you, man.
My pleasure, brother. Anytime.